Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Catoe and Church Podcast. You have tuned in here either live or you are listening to this to wherever you catch your favorite podcast. And from the bottom of our hearts, we say thank you. Catoe.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Other half here of the Catoe and Church Podcast. You doing all right?
Yes, sir. Getting a little chilly out there.
Little chilly, man. I tell you what, it is.
Yep.
It's the weather has changed today. That is for sure. But I'm gonna tell you, I like it. I don't have a problem with it. Now, I think we've talked about it here before. I used to like cold weather, but I'm not a big fan of cold weather so much now. But I do like it was today. I can handle.
The older you get, the colder it gets, the more the bones ache, it seems like.
I believe that's what it is. I really do. I want to say, as we get started here, Catoe, we are scheduled to have a guest with us this evening.
Yeah.
The one and only Bubba Bussey. We are waiting for him to jump in. I don't know. That's why, like you said, Catoe, that's why we always say scheduled to appear.
That's right.
Because
anything can come up.
Anything can happen. And I have sent the email that I need for the link that he would click on, of course, to jump in here with us. And if he jumps in, we are going to bring him on. But we just hope nothing's happened other than maybe just he might not be computer literate, kind of like me, and he may be having problems. You know, we had that one time with Speedy.
Well, you know, they've got 4 or 5 producers down there on that show, don't they? So I mean, I don't imagine.
Yeah,
maybe they don't have to do much.
Exactly. So he may not know exactly, but if he jumps in here, we will of course get with him. We're looking forward to that, and because he messaged me or emailed me this morning. Today being Thursday, November the 11th, already November. We'll talk about that in a second.
You mean the 4th, November 4th?
Yeah, November 4th. That's right. It is November 4th, 2021.
Don't jump us ahead too quick. They're coming fast as they come now.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right on that. And but he said he would be ready. So hopefully nothing has happened.
Go back and see if
he can get this figured out. And I'm just kind of keep checking the email to make sure he hadn't emailed with a problem or something. So, but anyway, hey,
I was going to say, I didn't know you had a way to like instant, however you messaged him before, kind of.
Well, I've just been working it through email. So that's about the best I can do. But hey, hopefully he'll get it figured out and jump on here with us. I hope. Because I always try to stress that we are Eastern Standard Time because they are Central Time.
Right.
And so there's an hour difference there, and hopefully that hadn't got him. Now, of course, knowing what little bit I know of Willie Bussey, he could have fallen asleep.
Oh yeah.
You know, because I'm a big fan of their show anyway, and I try to listen, all I can when I can. And he's been known to sit down after a hard day's work and get a nap in. So
he's got a little bit of that sleepy stuff.
Yeah. So,
but I think that's part of that, we're talking about getting old earlier. I mean, maybe before we went on, but it seems like that, it's real easy, man. If you get sitting still, next thing you know, you're waking up. What happened to the last hour,
Well, you say that, and my wife says that a lot now, Catoe. She's like, you know what, man, I get still and I'm gone. Yeah. And she will be. You sit in here, you start a movie on the TV or something, and next thing you know, you look at her and she's out.
But one time, me and Kelly got back from PE, and I was laying on the couch, and the next thing I know, they're sitting down having supper.
So
I woke up and they was having supper without me.
So you get settled just right, and it's easy. And especially on a day like today, when the weather is cool and it's cozy on the inside and good and warm. Hey, I turned our heat on this morning, Catoe.
Really?
Yep, got the heat on this morning. It got to be about 67 in here, and I figured I'll go ahead and turn it on and get that. When you always turn them heaters on for the first time.
Sounds like something. It smells like something's burning.
Yeah, you got that smell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And so we got that done for the year. So we should be good for that.
We're trying to hold off on that still. Like I was telling you, we had we made vegetable soup tonight, and Tracy cooked a cake of cornbread in the oven. Now, typically, and she did that because I asked her to. We don't normally have it that way. She usually fries the cornbread, takes cornmeal and fries it in a skillet. One of those cast iron skillets that you like so much. But instead, this time, this was baked in the oven. And we were just talking about back, growing up, we wouldn't turn the heat on. We'd take that oven door and crack it open to the first little opening there, turn the oven on, boil or whatever kind of heat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
A while, keep from turning that heat on.
I remember that as well, man. I sure do. I remember those days.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I like this type of weather, and it's I enjoy it. But speaking like what we were saying a little bit ago, November already.
Yeah.
Already November. I'll tell you, this is one of my favorite times of the year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year. I love that time of the year. The end of the year is my favorite.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that a whole lot. I love Thanksgiving, the time of getting together with family and friends and stuff. I love that. I enjoy
guess you'll be making up some of them pumpkin pies here before too long, won't you?
That's my plan. I've got to get on that. I've already gotten some of the ingredients for that, and got to get the rest of it, but I got to get that started. The good thing about those, didn't take real long to fix them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got to get on that and,
go see if you think you can send another email just asking if he got it.
No, I'm good. It goes through. I'm good.
So did you, I was going to ask you on those pumpkin pies, do you prefer those hot out of the oven or do you like them cold as well?
Either way.
Yeah, I can eat them both ways.
I can eat the pumpkin pie either way.
Cold, hot, whatever.
Yeah, I like after that first round, a good hot one, then put them in the fridge. I mean, they're good for 2 or 3 days after that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, there's a lot of people don't like pumpkin at all.
Yeah, you're right.
But I do like a good pumpkin pie, I like a good sweet tater pie too. Somebody, not many people can make those very well. I do have had people in my life that can make them to perfection, but I do like a good sweet potato pie.
Yeah, now my father-in-law, he likes sweet potato pie, and he don't care for pumpkin.
Right.
Pumpkin pie. And like you said, I've spoken to a few people lately, as a matter of fact, who were like, I don't care for pumpkin pie.
Right.
But I do. I'm like I said, I can eat it hot after you get done fixing it, or like you said, it gets you a piece and you eat it warm, then you put it in the refrigerator and get it out the next day. Man, I can swallow it down like that too. Doesn't bother me.
By chance, are you getting any kind of a little rustling in your ear, or is it on my end?
I don't hear anything. Everything.
When you talk, okay. If it's clear on your end, it might be my end. I was hearing a little bit of something in the.
No, it sounds pretty good here on this side. You said.
All right, good deal. Yeah, if you ain't hearing nothing on your end, it's probably on my end.
Okay. No yeah, I'm. Everything sounds good here. Speaking of hot and cold pumpkin pie, now I don't know if we've talked about this before or not, but I know banana pudding. Now I like banana pudding.
Really?
But I like my banana pudding cold. I don't like a hot banana pudding. How are you on that? What's your take on that?
Believe it or not, I'll take either one of them.
Really?
I will too.
No, I'm not going to say I find that hard to believe.
I know you wouldn't find that hard to believe for me.
But I like mine cold. I'm a cold man.
Catoe, do you like baked banana pudding? You ever had that?
Yeah.
I like that.
With like a meringue on the top of it?
Yeah, kind of like that. Kind of, it's not really a crust. It's just kind of a soft crust that settles on top.
Yeah.
meringue on the top.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's egg whites that have been beaten and
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I've not had a baked one in many years, but yeah, my wife doesn't like banana pudding, but I'm a big fan of it. So yeah, I don't get it very often. If I go to a restaurant, they may have it.
Yeah,
may eat some. But
okay, you remember here where we are? Do you remember that restaurant, Catoe, when you lived around here, Logan Street Hot Dogs?
No.
You remember that? Okay. Well, I know the guy that runs that. He does a lot of catering with the local football team here for their booster club on Friday nights when it's football games at home, you know.
Oh, and, yeah.
One of the things that he'll do a lot of when he does it is banana pudding. And I'm telling you, he's got a good one. I know that. I just thought of that. I didn't know if you remembered that restaurant or not. I know it was around.
I don't know if it was around back when I was there.
It was. Because my wife in her very early years worked there for a spell.
Logan Street Hot Dogs.
Yep.
I'm surprised I missed that one. You know me, I don't miss many.
No, I know.
Yeah, not many restaurants. There ain't many restaurants near you left untouched.
That's right. So I know. So obviously it's on Logan Street. I mean,
Yep.
The one place I remember there in Gaffney, I don't know if they still do it or not, but there was a place out there going out toward where I lived at. They would have foot-long hot dogs on Saturdays. That's the only day they sold them.
Yeah, right before you got out of town on that what's called West Frederick Street.
Yeah, close to the pizza place over there. It was. I guess it's still over there.
House of Pizza. Yep, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't know if they still do that or not, Catoe, but I know they used to, and I know exactly where you're talking about.
It was good. They had a good chili, which to me that's a good part of it. When I ran a bread route back in the 90s. There was a lady that had a place. It was like one of those old years. I know you've seen those old Methodist type campgrounds where they have a lot of cabins all around, kind of like that one we went to in Denver, North Carolina that time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, every year she would want top sliced hot dog buns for that particular gathering.
Uh-huh.
It was a big ordeal to have to round up the top sliced, hot dog buns.
Oh yeah,
but it was good. They were good. It was a different way to make them, but that just made me think of that when you mentioned that.
I got you.
But so anything else major been going on with you guys?
We got about 2 more softball tournaments, and we finish up with travel ball with my daughter.
All right,
got one this weekend, Catoe, a 1-day tournament up in Hendersonville.
Oh, okay.
Gonna be cold as Christmas, at least in the morning.
Yeah, is that a Top Gun tournament by chance?
I believe that's one of the Top Guns, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, sir, I believe so.
Yeah, you might see if you go out there and there's a guy. I'll go ahead and throw this out to you. It's I want to say his name of his company's Men with Shirts. He's a Tundra. He has a Tundra truck, Anyway, he'll be hauling a trailer, but he does a lot of shirts at tournaments all over.
Uh-huh.
And he was talking about he was in Hendersonville. I saw him within the last week or so.
Okay.
So he does a lot with those tournaments. So you may see that guy. Be sure you run up and say, hey, that the guy. You can tell him with the knockouts because that was the travel team.
Okay.
Work at the radio station down here.
Yeah. Is he from your way down in there?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I've ran into him different places, and I think he did some T-shirts for the stations here.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's one of the Top Gun tournaments.
Yeah,
they do a good job. We've been in several of those, and they do a good job.
So, where's your last tournament going to be at? Y'all aren't coming to the beach?
No, I think it's in Anderson, if I'm not mistaken. Spartanburg, Anderson. Yeah.
So that way, I might have to get Abby to come over there.
Yeah, she can come over and do some coaching or something.
Hang out with y'all.
So
yeah, they used to have a real big one the weekend before Thanksgiving for several years down here at the beach, and I mean it was like 100 teams. Man, it was something else now.
Yeah, I think I think on a site that I was on the other day, as a matter of fact, seems like that I saw maybe something at the beach in November, and that might be the one you're talking about.
We played. Now the final one that they had was the first weekend in December, and we played that one year. But I mean, to me, man, you've been playing when you play. If you're playing travel ball, you're playing so much, and you get down about Thanksgiving, you're about tired of it. You know, it's like,
Listen, there's a lot to it. There really is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. It's a lot to it, but right now, I mean, I love it. I do. I enjoy going. And to me, it's just a chance to kind of get away and just kind of forget about everything for just a few hours and just enjoy that, because I love the sport anyway.
Right.
No. I was noticing, looking at stuff, you know how we do on here. A lot of times we look up and try to tell the folks as far as the day we're broadcasting, and every now and then we'll do a day or two ahead just because we know we ain't on every day. But today, November the 4th, is National Candy Day.
Hey,
did you know that?
Didn't know it. I'll have to go get a bag on the way home.
National Candy Day.
Celebrate.
Yep. What
kind of candy you like?
What's your favorite candies? And and I know I tell you what, we'll do it like this. Let's talk about our favorite candies for a minute. We're going to kind of, I guess, maybe separate them at least into two categories. You got what I'm going to call your candy bars.
Right.
Your chocolate type stuff, those kind of things. And then over here in this category, we're going to have your I saw our friend Milner just put a comment up, softball is better than baseball. And that I say, Milner, I second that.
Yep, I agree.
But we're going to put, you got your candy bars, your chocolate stuff like that. And then over here you have, I guess we'll
traditional,
just put everything else. Your
sweet tarts,
gummy worms, your sweet tart, those kind of you can even throw. What's your favorite candy bars when it comes to candy? Since this is National Candy Day, and we'll talk about that in just a minute, and then I'll say mine. Now Wayne Stokes just commented Milky Ways and orange slices.
I like him orange slices now.
He comes across to me as a man that like a Milky Way.
Yeah.
and an orange slice. So,
I've actually got. I know you're going to be shocked and just surprised here, but I've got kind of several that.
No, I'm not shocked at all. I promise you, I'm not shocked.
But this will probably surprise you when I tell you what my first choice probably is going to be, and it's a York peppermint patty.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
so that would be your number one on the candy bar side.
Yeah, I will say, and Jim Bob, my buddy Jim Bob there, he has I don't know, he has guided me in the ways of like Reese cups. And I look now, I don't care if it's a peppermint patty, whatever kind of candy bar I get, I always check the date on the back. And I look for the one that has got the longest sell by date. So, for instance, if you were to get a Reese cup now, if it's dated for like October of 2022, you know that is going to be a fresh Reese cup or peppermint patty or whatever you get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always look at the date on it now, because there's nothing worse than getting one that's got a couple months to go and it ain't out of date, but it just ain't as good as a good fresh one.
Yeah. So York peppermint patty. What would be? Give me your top. If you can, give me your top 5, at least your top 3. York peppermint patty's your number 1.
Yeah, Reese cups in there. This is another oddball candy bar or candy that a lot of you may not like. It's called Chunky.
Okay. It seems like I've heard of that.
They're a square bar that's got peanuts and raisins in them.
Okay.
I love the taste of the chocolate that's in the Chunky.
Yeah.
Butterfingers in there, but this is my opinion. They changed the Butterfinger a couple years ago, it's not the same. It doesn't taste the same as it did originally.
Okay.
So
It's been a while since I've had one.
Yeah.
We'll get back to the other side as far
Types.
as candies goes, types of candies. My candy bar stuff. It's hard for me to put them in any particular order, really, but I like, the 100 grand.
Oh yeah.
I love that candy bar. I mean,
do you like it with it being a little colder, where the caramel's harder, or do you like it real soft?
Either way. Yep. I like it either way.
Heather just commented Andy's mints. I like those too, especially, at the Olive Garden at the end there. They used to have a big bowl out there, and I just grab a handful. I'm the only one in the house. This is another little trick for the guys out there. I figured out that, if there are things that the family likes that you like, you're not going to get what you want of it most of the time.
You're
so
right.
The things that only you like, load up on that. Like, for instance, I only like coconut. I'm the only one in the house likes coconut. So if I go to the bakery or something here, I get a piece of coconut cake because I know nobody's going to eat it.
Yeah. That's just wisdom. That's just wise words right there. Yeah.
That's just common sense.
But I love that 100 grand. That might be, if I said I really don't know if I could rank them.
Yeah.
But that might be my number one. I love 100 grand.
Yeah,
I also like a Baby Ruth. I love those. I've liked them just like the 100 grand ever since I was a youngin'. I've loved both of those candy bars. Now you brought that up about the Butterfinger. Now, I don't know if I've tasted any. It's been a while since I've ate a Butterfinger, but I like a Butterfinger. I mean, the one and get this is what's kind of neat about that is what I like about one of the things I like about the Butterfinger is when you bite and you chew that thing up, and it's the only thing that I like getting stuck all in my teeth. I love it. I love the Butterfinger. I do.
To me, they don't get as stuck as they used to. That inside of it's a little bit softer. It's more like if you ever had a Fifth Avenue.
Okay.
That the texture of it to me is a little bit more like a Fifth Avenue now than it used to be. It doesn't have that. Again, that's another one that fresh. If you got a good fresh Butterfinger, man, I'm telling you, nothing better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not bad. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm still going to eat a Butterfinger here and there.
Yeah, I got you.
It just ain't the same.
I got you. But yeah, the Baby Ruth, the 100 grand, the Butterfinger, and there was Mounds.
Yeah.
I like the Mounds. I like the Mounds a whole lot. That's probably my four. That's probably my four favorite.
But not Almond Joy.
Oh, honey, have a good buddy. And but those are my four. That's probably my four favorite candy bars. Now we'll switch gears and get over to the other side of the candy that we've just lump everything else into. You got your candy bars, and then we're gonna lump everything else over here in this. What is some other candies that you really, really enjoy?
I do like the sweet tarts. Here recently, they've come out with a new Katie Bug got this the other day, and I kind of liked it. These sweet tart ropes, and what they are, it's really not licorice. It's kind of like a gummy, and it's got sweet tart in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. I like them. I used to love, and you can't get them very many places. I think like that old, I don't know what they call that thing up there in Boone, like an old general store, merchandise store. They have them, but
Mass General Store.
I used to like those what they call sour balls. The little those as far as that type of candy on that side. I love those, but it don't seem like you can get those very much anymore, except for a place like that.
Do you like the sweet tart jelly beans?
Yeah, around Easter time.
Oh yeah, I could eat a whole bag of them.
Yeah.
Now, to me, I love sweet tarts. The regular sweet tart hard candy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love those. Now, like he just mentioned, Seth just mentioned the jelly beans. I don't care for those.
Really? Any of them?
I don't like them. The sweet tart jelly
Textures
beans. Yeah, I just don't like them. Now, the regular sweet tart, man, I love them. Golly, Pete, I love them. I love trolley gummy worms.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The Sire gummy worms.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like those.
Oh my goodness, those things are great. I like there's another one that's kind of right there in the same boat with the gummy worms. Well, it's left.
What about the circus peanuts? You know, those orange kind of like a marshmallow type almost.
Oh no! I'm not one of those. No.
Candy
No.
corn.
I like candy corn.
I don't care for candy corn.
I like them pumpkins that you can
Yeah,
get.
man.
Oh my gosh.
I think
That get me excited right here.
I think the best way to eat candy corn is you get a handful of it and you walk to the trash can and go boom.
Yeah, I saw
I'm
that.
not a candy corn. I'm not a candy corn person, but there's a couple of other. There's Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah.
Jolly Ranchers.
Funny you mentioned that. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
I'll show you something here.
Oh boy.
While you're getting that, I love the Jolly Ranchers.
Speaking of Jolly Ranchers.
Oh, look at that.
Son.
Yeah.
Got a whole big jar of them in here.
See, did those used to be filled up all the way to the top?
Yeah. And believe it or not, I didn't eat most of them, but I mean, this studio here is kind of at the front of a lot of people come through here, but there's more blue ones left than anything.
And I like the blue. I like the blue. I like Jolly Ranchers, but they also make a Jolly Rancher gummy, and I like those really well. And I believe it's Starburst. I like Starburst. I'm not going to say they're one of my favorite. I like the red and the orange in the pack.
Right.
Starburst. But now Starburst also makes like a gummy style Starburst, and I like those. I like those pretty good. I like a gummy candy.
Right.
You know, like I said, them Jolly Ranchers and the Starburst, and I like those really well.
My wife likes those peach rings. Seen those?
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, I've seen those.
They're kind of like gummies too. They're round, but they're kind of peachios or something they call them.
Okay,
I don't really care for those too much. I like those orange that Wayne was talking about. I like those orange slices.
Oh yeah.
A lot of those. Again, it's don't have them very often.
Yeah.
I do like them.
Yeah, whenever I get them, I can eat a whole thing of them.
Peanut M&Ms. I forgot to mention that. I like peanut M&Ms and the M&M minis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're talking about eating a whole bag, they come in a little tube. If it makes me mad to buy it because you don't get that much.
Uh-huh.
So if I get those M&M minis, I get a whole bag of those. I can eat a whole bag of them.
And I'm not crazy about peanut M&Ms. I can eat them, but now regular M&Ms, I forgot about them. Yeah. I can hammer down on some of them.
I like Skittles. I do.
Yeah. See, he likes Skittles. I ain't a fan of Skittles.
Nah, I'm not. I like those sour ones. Okay.
Oh yeah, the sour ones is good. Yeah.
So I was fixing to say something about one. Doggone, it's left me now.
Never heard anything back from Bubba.
Not yet. I emailed him again. I even emailed him again, and he must be having some complications or something.
Or you might have dozed off, like you said. We'll give him a pass this time.
Yeah, we will. He did, because, like I said, he told me he's been messed up this week. Bless his heart. For those again tuning in or just whatever, we're supposed to have scheduled to appear tonight. One half of the Rick and Bubba show, Bill Bubba Bussey, and
Mr. Bill Bubba.
He went down to Florida over the weekend to watch the space shuttle or something take off.
Cape Kennedy.
Yeah, and they ended up postponing that the day that it was supposed to, and so he stayed another day, hoping he would get to see it because he's a big space nut. He loves stuff dealing with space.
I wondered if he was going to be one of those ones that wanted to take a flight.
He would probably go.
He'd
probably go.
Of course, I had to put more gas in if he got on it, but
he stayed a day over, hoping that they would do it the next day, and then they didn't do that, and so he's been messed up, and he wasn't even at work Monday, and so I'll get back in touch with him, and we'll get it planned, because I mean he told me he was ready to do it and wanted to do it, but something must have happened. But anyway,
that's okay.
But next week, again, let me just say this: if I can get my calendar, I've got a calendar that I keep this stuff on, and
the Catoe and Church calendar here.
Catoe and Church calendar, and we scheduled to appear, like you said, Catoe. That's some of the best words you've ever uttered on the podcast. But we'll get Bubba back on and lined up. But scheduled to appear next week is the Hungry Hussy. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna put it this way. I'm gonna say he's a YouTube sensation with his cooking videos,
right,
and things like that. And he's supposed to be with us next week. I'm going to.
Have you seen any of his videos, Catoe?
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah,
and so he's supposed to be with us next week, and then the next week, Catoe, I'm not going to tell you who the guest is for the next week. I'm just going to let it be special to you.
Okay.
I will just say you know them,
boy.
I'll say this: they're not famous from the standpoint of a YouTube channel or a nationally syndicated radio program or anything like that. But I do believe that it'll be a fun guest, and I'm going to surprise you with it.
Oh boy!
I look forward to that. It's like I said, it's somebody that you do know, but I'm just going to leave it at that, and that's going to be on the 18th. Of course, we'll take us probably a little break unless we do something earlier in the week of Thanksgiving week, because then we have Thanksgiving, and then scheduled to appear the first Thursday of December. We tried to get these guys on a while back, but then I had some complications and had to cancel on that. But the crowd from Mission First Coffee, we're going to have those guys on with us, and
that'll give me a chance to get a bag of it and try some.
That's right, and I'm telling you, it'll be well worth it. I believe my wife, as a matter of fact, ordered some yesterday.
Oh,
if I'm not
went through a bag, huh?
Yeah, we done went through it, and she's ordered some more. And as we say, those guys give a percentage of what they sell in their coffee to Heart Cry Missionary Society. And then I'm trying to work on, Catoe, a guest for us. And I don't know that it'll happen this year. It may end up being after the first of the year. And I'm trying to work on to get comedian James Gregory.
Interesting.
The legend.
Yeah. So the funniest man in America.
Mm-hmm.
Is I'm trying to work on that. I don't know if they will. I've emailed anybody who listens to our podcast, which I wish it was tens of thousands. But right now that's not.
It's probably about 5.
Right now that's not the case. But if you do hear this, whether you're watching live or whether you're you catch it on where you catch podcast. I mean, heck, we ought to have them if they would to go to James Gregory's Facebook page, Funniest Man in America. And, hey, you need to be on Catoe and Church Podcast. You need to be and just aggravate them to death. So I'm trying to work on that. I've always liked listening to him. He's he has some of the same values that you and me would have when it comes to common sense.
It's a superpower
approach to some things. So
right.
Hopefully we can get that worked out and him be able to be a guest. That would be pretty big as far as I'm concerned to get Funniest Man in America, on. I've watched his stuff on YouTube and just about bust a gut. I love it. I love listening to him. He cracks me up.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of a common sense approach, Catoe, to stuff and things like that. Also, we said it was National Candy Day.
Right.
but it's also Use Your Common Sense Day.
Ah, dog. I wish more people do that every day.
Just to read a little bit about this, Catoe, it says Use Your Common Sense Day is observed annually. I was trying to find my glasses and I ain't got them, but maybe I can read it.
I can read it.
Use Your Common Sense Day is observed annually on November the 4th. Since common sense is an important tool for living life, common sense is the applied knowledge of simple, sensible things, such as putting metal into microwaves, or such as not putting metal into microwaves, or jumping into rivers without knowing what is under the water. This date also marks the birthday of Will Rogers, the man who remarked, "Common sense ain't that common." We need to remind ourselves of the importance of applying common sense to our everyday lives and decisions to avoid unnecessary dangers and make the most of opportunities. In the social media age, this is a pet peeve of many, that common sense seems to have fallen by the wayside. Now, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are even calls for subjects stimulating common sense in the school curriculum in the U.S. because so few seem to employ it.
I wish some of our government officials would use common sense every now and then.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like Rick and Bubba say, and like I said, I listen to them all the time, but they summed it up. Now, common sense is a superpower because they ain't many people have it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true there.
You know, so, but yeah, today is National Use Common Sense Day. And we do need more of that. We need to pray that God will give it to people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness gracious. That's something that we sure are lacking. Hey, listen, did you see, there was some people got to vote yesterday.
Yeah.
And I know that we ain't hit any topics like this last 2 or 3 podcasts, and which has been good. But sometimes we like to throw our 2 cents.
That way you don't have
there
to get ragey on here with us.
Yeah. But I will say that, or again, I'll say, did you see, Virginia, the state of Virginia was one of the places that got to vote for governor yesterday.
Right.
Did you hear about that, see about that, and see what happened?
Saw that. Also saw the, they finally called the New Jersey governor type race too.
Yeah.
Seemed to be some shenanigans going on up there. I saw there was one of the polling places that double counted all the votes, and I think they're trying to fix that. But yeah, it turned out, you don't know. It turned out good though.
Well, it turned out good for Virginia. I mean, you know what I'm saying, what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I think the whole deal with the parents, and they really the people turned out with that Loudoun County situation up there. And I mean, Virginia, I mean, the way what we talk about in the mornings, it's not a Republican type state. It's more of a blue, more anti-God type state overall. But we're seeing the parents stepping up, and so it's a good thing.
Yeah, then I'm happy for our good friend Dot Richardson, Coach Dot. Yeah. And for those folks up there in Virginia, because that one fella, Lord have mercy, they sure didn't need him to be governor. That is for sure. And the whacked out things he said. I mean, you just, with the liberals, all you have to do with them, Catoe, is you just got to give them enough rope.
Yep.
If you will give them enough rope, as the saying goes, they'll hang themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you will give them time, you'll see their true colors. You'll see it, and if you'll just listen and just use common sense. If you'll do that, you'll eventually you'll see what they really stand for, and you probably then would realize, what, I really don't agree with that.
And you'll see that they'll be opposite they'll be this way on one thing, this way on another thing, and they'll be switching sides all the time.
So You just have to give them enough rope, and they'll take care of themselves.
I heard a pastor over the weekend make this statement, and you may have an answer for it. You might want to think on it before you answer. I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking on it. And he said that there is no Christian duty to vote, for anybody to vote. He said,
Right.
The overarching theme of the message, and like I say, I hadn't thoroughly studied and necessarily thought that much about it, but he's saying, hey, this world's not our home. We're just passing through here. Whatever happens, happens. He said that it is not a Christian's duty to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on that?
Well, I guess just thinking, just right off the bat, I may see what he's saying. I'd like to probably like to know a little bit more of why necessarily he would be saying that,
like where he's coming from,
where he would really be coming from. I do agree. Yeah, we are. If you are a Christian, we are. The Bible tells us we're pilgrims. I got to be careful on saying that. I won't get it out. But that we are pilgrims. We are passing through. This isn't our home. Because the scriptures tell us that. And so I mean, I understand that.
And what about in this respect? We know it's not up for debate. God's in control.
Oh yeah.
Whoever is going to be in charge, kings, presidents,
mm-hmm.
It's at the will of the Lord.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's and we see government spoken of, and we won't go into all kinds of details, but we see government spoken of in the scriptures. And so, God has he has given what government's role is. And so we see that in the scriptures. And so, but like you said, yes, God is in control. And I'm not meaning to be distracted.
Bubba just emailed us back.
He's emailing me back, and I'm trying to get it and speak on that at the same time.
You want me to do it while you speak?
No, I'm good. But God is in control, but he's left us here. And I think, we're in a country where we're able to vote. And I think I have no problem taking advantage of that.
Right.
No problem at all of taking an advantage of that. So, and that's something I'd like to even think more on. I'm not going to claim to know all the answers about that. So, but that, it's something good to think on.
Yeah. He was just saying, we've really gotten here in America. We just got so caught up in a lot of things. And, even this particular, he was talking about Halloween, and he was very against anything to do with that. And, he was talking about how we've kind of justified it, and, they're so cute, dress them up. But I guess it's unfair to kind of throw out a couple of things out of this message and not give you the whole context of it. But it was interesting. I mean, he said he said he'd be standing down in the front if you wanted to come down and have a talk about it. So,
well,
but anyway,
what don't we talk?
I'm trying to get this to see. So he is. I can say for sure he is having some computer problems,
right? Because
he says he is on this is talking about Bubba. He says he is on a Mac, and it's not. He says it says it doesn't support my browser.
Click in the link there.
That's what I'm just going to tell him to try to click this link and
see what happens.
You got to love live.
Oh, live's the best way.
Exactly.
Anything can happen.
I wonder if he can go to StreamYard like just typing it in.
I don't think so, Sethy. I don't think so.
Like not just for us, but I wonder if he can like.
And we'll go from there and see what happens. I don't
Yeah.
know with it being a Mac, and I'm not real familiar with that.
You want me to try it on ours?
And so no, we'll be fine. It's see if something happens.
Now that you mentioned that, I wonder, since I've got an iPhone, I wonder if I just
try typing StreamYard.
I'll click on the link that you sent to me and just see what happens.
Yeah, you can do that. Like I said, hey, we're live here. People,
I'll be on in two. I'll be in two windows, maybe. See what happens.
We could see. Hopefully, he'll get it. I don't know, because I am far from being a computer genius. That's for sure. And so I don't know why, if he goes to his email, I don't know why it wouldn't pop up, but hopefully he can figure it out. Oh Lord, I see it.
Down. How about that?
Look at it. Right
there. So you could actually
put that on there.
Enter it in there and see what happens.
All right, let's see what goes on.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Wow, look at there. So you get another view.
I hear a little feedback. I can hear,
Right.
Take us for a tour around the studio there, Catoe.
For an echo.
There you go. Yeah, you can see this is the studio that I work in every day.
So you people don't join us live. You don't get to see this stuff.
Right.
But you never know what's going to happen when you got two good ones trying to.
I don't know if you can. This is the other studio next.
I can see it a little bit.
Okay.
Where the guys do the talk show.
Yeah.
I'm producing over here, so there's a little. This is a little like private door. I gotta tighten it up to get through there because it's pretty.
Oh my! I can see.
I bet. I'd like to see that he's gonna have to suck in there a little bit.
Yeah.
He's kind of got to sucker in there a little bit to get through there.
So if he's got an iPhone, he can probably just click on that. I'm gonna close out of this.
Put you a little.
So I don't hear that feedback.
Yeah, sounds like you're talking like this right here, and it's got that sound into it.
You put you a little. You get through that one area there. You probably got to put a little grease or lard on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he should be able to just click on whatever link you sent. And,
if you can ask him to do it on iPhone if he wants to.
Yeah.
You tell him if he's got.
We'll just get him another time.
We may end up having to do that.
Even if it's another day, we don't have to be exclusive on Thursday. We
can go. I mean, we can go
any time. And things are kind of slowing. It is kind of like you say, the ball's slowing down a little bit. The ice cream truck, it ain't rolling right now, obviously. But
you tell him try iPhone.
I'm gonna tell him that
if he wants to.
See what happens.
I am disappointed in one thing. I know you got that big system there, but I was expecting as I come onto the air today to hear a little chop music going when I got in here.
Oh, did you?
for the world champions here. See that?
Yeah, they are the world champions. I'll give it to you.
Look right down.
Oh, here we go.
Right
Wait
down
a minute. I think we got him, Catoe. Hold on.
Son of a gun.
Looky here. I think that we
ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the old Bubba Bussey.
There he is.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Hey, Mr. Bussey, how you doing?
Well, I haven't got exactly set up to this format you guys are using, and I don't have my. I think I'm on the audio in the computer, not my external stuff. So I got to figure out how to do that. I'm not a Chrome user usually, so this is all new to me.
I'm gonna tell you what, you sound good on our end.
Yeah,
this is the poor man's format here.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Well, I know there's an easy way to fix this because I can't hear you in my headphones. I'm hearing you over my speaker. and there's a quick way to fix it, and I'm going to try to figure it out right quick.
Well, that's fine.
The way it works for me is on my mic, there's a place to put the microphone or the headphones plugged into that, and that kind of bypasses the computer. I don't know if you've got that option or not.
I've got an external USB setup here that feeds in the audio and gets the audio out and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's not seeing that. It doesn't look like. But anyway, can y'all hear me okay?
I can hear you real well.
Okay.
I can hear you real well. And we've just been carrying on, and I figured it might be some kind of technical issue. But we glad we have you. We glad you got it figured out, at least to be able to be on here with us. So
can you still hear me okay?
I got you. Yes, sir. We got you.
You got
well, it ain't exactly like we planned, but it'll work. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Hey, listen, we're doing great. We're just glad and honored that you would be with us. We really appreciate that. I know you're a busy man.
I ain't that busy, guys. I just have to get up early, you know. And that means you go to bed early. And dang, y'all are doing this thing in the middle of the night. You know?
Yeah, I tell you, we being here on this East Coast makes it rough for you when we do things like this.
You know, was I supposed to be here an hour earlier? I mean, I thought it was like 8 o'clock. I thought I was early. Am I late?
Well, to be quite honest, yeah, you are, but
it'll work out like you said.
But you're fine. You're fine. We want to respect your time, but we're glad you're here. And I know that we was talking a little bit earlier before you got on. I know me and my son here. This is my son Seth. He gets on here with us, and we just enjoy doing this, and we like to have guests and stuff. And I know I speak for Seth and myself. I mean, we're big Rick and Bubba fans. We listen all we can, and we just enjoy the show. You know, a while back we had Speedy on with us, and really had a good time with him. We enjoyed him being on, and like I said, I just listen to the Rick and Bubba show because you guys just you say, and this is what I remember telling Speedy, is that you guys say a lot of the stuff, and I mean, and I'm not saying just to be saying it, but you guys will be talking, and you'll be talking about a subject or something like that, and one of you guys will say something, and I'm like, dang, that's just what I thought. And so we got a lot in common. Trust me.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. That's very kind of you. We've been very blessed to get to do what we do for so long. You know, we're about to start 28 years, but honestly, it's not a lot different than what you guys are doing here. It just, we were at the right place at the right time, you know, and it all took off. But I love what you guys are doing because, you know, this wasn't available 28 years ago. So you're getting out there and doing your thing, and people can make their own choice if they want to be a part of it or not. And, you know, that's all you can ask for. But I mean, we didn't have the internet. I mean, you're worldwide. Anybody in the world can punch this up and get it. So it's really amazing technology.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got a couple of quick questions here. Now, you guys have been, I don't get to listen like church does, basically because I'm doing what you're doing, but I'm producing a show. So I produce a conservative talk show in the mornings from 6 to 10. But y'all haven't always been exclusively talk, though. Were you just like a regular, like a country morning show or something at one time?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. We were on a top 40 station when we started. It was called Q104. It was in Gadsden, Alabama. And I was really the engineer for the station. I was the tower climbing, transmitter tuning, equipment installing guy. Well, and back then we used to have to clean the cart machine heads and demagnetize them, and you know, a whole lot of other stuff you don't have to do now. And they were looking for a morning show, and I suggested my friend from college, Rick Burgess, who was working at a smaller station down in Oxford at the time, and my boss, who's Jimmy Vineyard, said, "Well, do you know Rick?" I said, "Yeah, we're friends." He said, "Well, why don't you go talk to him and see if you can get him to come over?" So, you know, not a lot of engineers are sent to make deals for morning show guys. And at the time, Rick wanted too much money, so he didn't come over. And we were also involved with the Jacksonville State Radio Network. I ran that at the time. And Rick was our sideline guy. So I used to have to fill the complaints about something Rick said every weekend and call and talk to him about it. So we stayed in touch quite a bit. And his dad was the coach at Jack State at the time, and they were playing in the national championship game up in Florence. And I know this is a long answer to what you asked, but I was expecting to go up for the week. There was a lot of festivities going on. They had the Harlan Hill presentation, which is the Division II National Championship banquet. And I thought, well, good, we'll get to hang out with Rick. We'll have a lot of fun. And Rick couldn't go because he had to work. And after it was the last chance that Jack State and his dad was going to get to play for a national title at Division II, and they ended up beating Pittsburgh State for that title. And we're jumping around out on the field celebrating that. And I'm letting Rick talk to his mother on my cell phone, which very few people had at that time. And the one I had was as big as a small suitcase. And and I told Rick, I said, if you were working for us, you'd be here today. And he quit his job and came to work for us Monday.
Wow.
And then I started hanging out with him on the air, goofing off. Mm-hmm. And our boss wasn't a big fan of that to start with. But Rick was enjoying it and I was enjoying it, and we were going to lunch and goofing, and it just kind of, it turned into the show. We had a sponsor at the time. The country stations were giant, and we had two big 100,000 watt country stations on either side of us, and top 40 was kind of the low tide. And, we were probably selling $10 commercials at the time, which is embarrassing for a 100,000 watt station. And we had a salesperson come in, and they said, I got a $40 a spot rate if Rick and Bubba do it. And at that point, the manager said, you're on the morning show. We'll find another engineer.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, yeah.
That's how radio works.
And that's semi the truth on all that. So that's pretty close. Pretty close.
I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I like hearing that, because I just wondered how you guys met and how you hooked up and got to where you are. And
what? No, it's a long and rocky story for sure, and I won't bore you with all the details. But the way I ended up there was that I had actually been the manager of a station, engineer, part owner in it, and it had gone belly up, and I'd gone into the TV business. I was selling TV at the time, and Q104 was on our tower. You're talking about a God thing happening. Betty was expecting at the time. And well, no, she wasn't pregnant yet, but we were headed that way. And
you're doing all you could do.
I got relieved of my duties at the TV station after making my sales budget, which I was not happy about. And that's a whole nother story. But I'm thinking, I haven't even called Betty yet to tell her that I have been relieved of duties. And I'm doing what any fat guy would do while I'm thinking this over, as I went to eat. And I ran into Jimmy Vineyard, who was the manager of the radio station. And he said, hey, you don't happen to know of an engineer? He said, my guy just left. His name was Roger, and he's gone to a station in Birmingham, and I'm needing an engineer. And he said, I'd love to have you, but he said, I know you make a lot of money over at the TV station. Do you have anybody you suggest? And I said, hey, Jimmy, guess what? Good news. I think I want to get my hands dirty again. So how about I start for you? So I literally had to call Betty and say, look, this was a strange day. I've been relieved of one job, but I started another one tomorrow. So it all worked out. It was a God thing. And then Rick came over, and, we've been doing this for almost 28 years. Like I said, and it's a blessing every day.
Well, I tell you, y'all bless a lot of people every day. Because like I said, I love listening. I love just being able to hear it. And like I said, just so much. I'm telling you, I know we've never met until today, but I'm telling you, there's so much that I think that Catoe and myself have in common with you guys. I'm just telling you, y'all, talk about being a bunch of good ones. I'm telling you,
Yeah, buddy, we are.
I'm telling you, talk about too good. You done hooked up with a couple tonight. I'm telling you, you have hooked up with a couple of good ones tonight. But
well, good ones make the world go round. I've always said that. But I think one of the things being on the air for 28 years that really was a perception I had was, if you watch the news every day, even back then, you think that the whole world is crazy. Now it's worse now, obviously, but back then. But when you get out and you get to meet people on a bigger scale, like we got to do with the radio show, you realize there's a lot of good people. I mean, there's a lot of churches out there and a lot of Catoes and a lot of Seths, and thank goodness, it's the majority of the people. I think what you see on TV is the wacko crew. The very fringe of everything that gets all the headlines. But, there's a lot of good people, and they call us the flyover states. And thank goodness for the flyover states, because apparently living on the coast makes you a wacko.
A nut.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're exactly right. Now, I know Catoe kind of mentioned this a little bit ago. When you and Rick when you finally hooked up, you finally had your radio program or what have you, what led y'all to doing talk, to make it more a talk?
Well, that's a funny story too, because it goes back to what I was telling you. The country music scene had just exploded. And this is when country music started kind of being more top 40. You had Garth and Faith and Shania, and, it looked more like the top 40 we grew up with than country. And we had two big 100,000 watt stations on either side of us. And it was just sucking the listeners and the advertising dollars up, and we're sitting there in the middle playing top 40. And we started, we had enough flexibility because of the desperation, frankly, that we started playing less and less music. And we had a program director in Birmingham that was worked with a friend of ours, and our friend had asked him one time. He said, "Hey, have you heard Rick and Bubba over on Q104?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "They talk too much. They're too chatty." And I mean, this is one of these radio goob guys that, want to play the hits and, read the card and the weather and I'm out and, all this stuff. Yeah. And so just kind of out of meanness, we said, we're going to chat the whole show. And it was on a Friday, and we called it Fat Chat. And so we tried to do the whole show without playing any music. Now, when you're used to playing a bunch of music, wow, you're tired. That's a lot of talking. And so we did it on Fridays only at the time. And our boss was worried that his boss was going to get wind of it. He'd get in trouble from the radio goob mountaintop, And what was funny, Fridays is when everybody wanted to be on the show advertiser wise. They said, "Hey, I want spots on Friday when they're doing Fat Chat." So we had a new boss that had rolled in then, and he said, "Guys, really in these big markets, if you look at even though what we were doing was different from Howard Stern or Mark and Brian or Landecker or all these other guys in these major markets, they talk most of the time. It wasn't what we like." TalkNet like used to be on at night or something on NPR, but it was fun. It was entertaining stuff. And Rick and I actually went out to California. It was on the infamous Willie and Wanda trip.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And I called into Mark and Brian's show and told them that we were out there and that we were fans and we used to listen to them in Birmingham. And we talked a little bit on the air, and they invited us to come to the station after they got off the air, which was KLOS. And we went out there, and they were very gracious to meet with us. And they cleared up a lot of old stories that we had, and we knew when they left Birmingham, we'd heard why they left and how much money they got, and they cleared all those stories up, which was very generous of them. But we noticed something listening to their show. They didn't play any music. It was just them cutting up. If they played a song, it was because they wanted to play a song and they sung over it. and they were just having fun, and they had somebody out on a cell phone and it was cutting out, and they didn't panic because it didn't sound good. They just laughed it off. They were like, hey man, find a hill, because your cell signal sucks, and I go, that's kind of how we look at things too. Why are we being so particular? Why are we trying to be professional when that isn't really who we are? So I will say that trip changed our mentality, because we came back and said, look, we want to ditch the music. The music is a preference thing. If you like country, you're not going to listen to us. And if we play country music, the top 40 people are not going to listen. So why don't we just take the music out? Mm-hmm. We'll have enough music as theme music for different segments on the show. If we play a song, we'll sing over it, have a little fun. And when we dropped the music, the thing took off like a rocket. Just took off like a rocket. And then people were telling us, yeah, I listen to this station during the day, or I listen to that station, but I listen to you guys in the morning. And the only time I tune out is when y'all roll a record. So we just started this thing. Like I said, we didn't invent it. It was really kind of a throwback to the historic days of radio. That's true. And we just kind of do what we do. It's not always professional by any stretch. It's not for everybody. I realize that, and we cover a lot of topics, but I really think the longevity of the show because there's been a lot of people much more talented than we are, because we don't have any talent, but we keep showing up. And, there's been a lot of great morning show guys, some that work with me or work for me before. And, this going to bed at 8 at night and getting up at 3:30 is just, some people just can't do it for a long stretch of time. And trust me, I know. And so, I think the fact that we do what we do the way we do it, because we're not a sports show, but we talk about sports. Spend a lot of time talking about the Braves today. We're not a news talk show, although we cover a lot of politics, obviously. And we're not a spiritual show, but we're going to talk about Bible stuff and about life. Mm-hmm. And, it's just kind of whatever comes up, because I think if we were stuck in any genre, I'd be burned out. I think Rick would be burned out. I mean, I love sports, but I can't talk about it every day. Yeah, because there's some days, look, there just ain't nothing to talk about. I mean, look at ESPN. That's obvious. I mean, when are we going to have another poll about who's the greatest, LeBron James or Michael Jordan? I mean, they have that about once a month. Right. So I like the fact, and I think when you go, we often compare what we do, and it's a lot like what you guys do, to being on the back porch, at a cookout, at a family cookout. Yeah. You're going to talk hunt, you're going to talk about politics, there'll probably be some spiritual conversation. You're going to talk sports. You're going to have some laughs at somebody's expense. Everybody's going to spend their time in the middle of the ring a little bit. And that's kind of what we do on the air. And I'm so thankful people enjoy it. We do it and we have fun doing it. So I hope that the people listening and watching do, and they seem to. And we just keep, it's hurt us in the business, because we've had news talk stations that we've been on and said, look, we love what you guys do, news talk. You have on some really cool guests. We've had, Trump on several times. We have Hannity on a lot, and a lot of other folks over the years. But they said, but then you get to talking about candy and food and pizza and getting a paddling in high school, and nobody cares about that. And I'm like, well, yeah, they do, but it doesn't fit in their mold. They have a predetermined mold, and we don't fit in that. So I think what we do and the way we do it has helped us to do it as long as we have, but it has limited us. I think we could have been on a lot more stations if we'd have just been, A or B or C, and not done tech talk or, anything else. But it's just kind of who we are, so we had to go with it.
Yeah. Are you guys kind of your own entity, or are you distributed by someone like Cumulus, or? I'm just curious. We have our own company, Rick and Bubba Inc., which is me and Rick. And we are, a standalone entity. We've trademarked everything, which we were advised to do early on, and it was not an easy process. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money to do some of that, to get the little R behind your name.
It cost us about 20 grand to do it back when we made about 30, so that was kind of a tough deal, but I'm glad we do it now because we'll have a Rick and Bubba pop up every now and then. We have to send them a letter to say, hey guys, already spoken for. And but no, we're our own entity. And then we have a partnership with our flagship station, WZZK in Birmingham, which is owned by Summit Media. And then we're syndicated by Syndicated Solutions in New York, and they go out.
The reason I ask, I don't know if you'd seen the where Bongino, he's with Cumulus,
right?
And they're got a big deal going. He's vaccinated. There's something about the vaccine.
They're doing a vaccine mandate. Well, they're out to get us all one way or another. I don't know if y'all seen that. I don't know what y'all's status are on all that, but what your status is. But that. We're not employed by a broadcast company directly. We're employed by Rick and Bubba Inc., and we have no mandate. So we'll try to maintain that as long as we can. Now, we're not anti-vax. We have, of our 6, we have 2 guys who are vaccinated, and we have 4 of us who have had it already. And we check our antibodies from time to time. I mean, I recommend to people who are not vaccinated to get it. I'm not scared of it. I don't think it's the mark of the beast or it has chips or anything. And maybe y'all do. I haven't seen that evidence, but I've had a lot of vaccines over my life and they work pretty well. But in this case, since I have had it and I've got antibodies, I feel like I have a better natural protection than what the antibodies what the vax would give me. And if that rolls off at some point in time, I won't probably hesitate to get it. Now, a lot of our very conservative brothers and sisters just freak out when you say that. But my wife has taken the vaccine. She took Moderna early on, got both shots, had no problems with it, and she's doing fine. So, I think we want to be protected, but we want to be protected wisely. And I'm definitely against governmental mandates where I don't think they have the constitutional authority to do that. So we're fighting against that.
That's I'm against anybody telling me to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't drink water with a hand at the back of my head very well, So, but I like to drink water. So, I think the rollout on this was fumbled early on. Kamala and all of them made it political early on, saying they wouldn't take it if Trump brought it to market, and then mysteriously when they got in, everybody needs it. Now it's okay, and that ruffled a lot of feathers right out of the gate. And I don't know that the reporting on it has been completely transparent, but I do think overall, in most cases, it's fairly safe. There's certainly some issues with that, some people can't take aspirin, so you just, you never know, but, hopefully this thing is on the way out. As usual, the government's a little behind the curve on all this. And I hope we don't have another pop-up. I heard Dr. Sag from UAB, say that, he was hoping this would be it. It's going to be not a pandemic, but he used another term, be like the flu every year. You're still going to hear it. You're still going to have little outbreaks of it, but hopefully it will not be widespread, pack the hospital like we had before.
Exactly.
As long as they got a way they can make some money, they're going to be.
Yeah, listen, I'm a capitalist and I love the free market. But I'm very suspicious of communists, the far left, and anything that has billions of dollars in it makes good people do bad things, and that includes Big Pharma. Now, I love what Big Pharma has done for us. I mean, look, let's face it. I see Catoe. Well, all of us on some kind of medication, probably for cholesterol and all that. And I'm glad because I like to eat fried chicken. Okay, so I gotta have something to dissolve that stuff when it gets in me. But I know it was a movie, but y'all remember The Fugitive, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they had this drug and it was going to do all this wonderful thing, but it was also killing people, destroying their liver. But we want to sweep that aside because we got $1 billion deal out there. And I love what Big Pharma's done, but anytime there's that kind of money, Glenn Fry sung about it. You got to watch everything and be careful because that almighty dollar will get in the way of some people's better judgment.
Yeah, you're right. I'm glad you could see Catoe that Catoe is our biggin. He is. He's our biggin. I
don't miss many meals.
Listen, and ain't nothing wrong with that, Catoe. I'm with you. Look at me. I mean, I got 3 chins on this thing. I was hoping this was an audio podcast. Good night.
Now and I want to be, like I said, be respectful of your time.
No, I'm good. I had a nap today.
Well, that's what I thought left you why you were late, because I told Catoe when we started, I said, listen, he just is apt to have fell asleep.
Well, that's true. It's possible. It's happened before. Ask my wife. She broke up with me one time because I missed something because I fell asleep. And we didn't date again for like 8 years. I mean, so the lost years, we call it.
Yeah.
But I've been having an email problem. Yeah. And me and Helms were working on it yesterday, and I've had to blow my email count up 2 or 3 times because I appreciate everybody signing me up for all these demo things. Okay. I love y'all for that. I thought this was last night. See, I've missed Monday's show because I was at the Kennedy Space Center, and my week's been off. I did a promo for Friday on the show yesterday, and then I thought we were doing the podcast last night, and I sent you an email, and then I realized, oh my gosh, wrong night. So I've been screwed up all week. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry about that.
I get it. Hey, listen, I know your heart was broke over that Space Kennedy trip.
Yeah, I'm bad luck. I mean, I've been down there like 3 or 4 times, and I've seen one lunch, and it was awesome. And I really wanted to see a night lunch, and but I don't. It's space is still a complicated thing, and there's always something to go wrong. And buddy, if I'm there, it's going to.
Well, I've listened to the show enough that a lot of them guys think you'll throw the mojo on something.
Our crowd is extremely mojo sensitive for a bunch. I mean, a couple of us played baseball. Rick and Greg were not big baseball guys when they got older, but being a baseball guy, we're about as mojo concerned as anybody. And people will say, well, you're superstitious. That's not very Christian. I said, look, I'm not superstitious. I just don't believe in taking chances. So if I'm sitting on the end of a bench and I've got a no-hitter going, why do I want to sit anywhere else? Let's see how this thing plays out, and then we'll sit everywhere else and joke and have a hot dog.
That's right. Yeah.
So Bubba, if Bezos says, I got an extra seat, you getting on there? You going up?
Well, Catoe, it all depends on the status of my life insurance, I guess. I don't want to leave the kids here penniless, my kids are both in their early 20s. I got one that's a senior at Auburn and one that's on his 3rd gap year. And so we're, I kind of need to get, I feel like I need to get them over the hump because it is dangerous. But so is riding on the interstate, but it's a calculated risk. I think I would like to go. I like being around it more than I do riding on it right now. But honestly, look, I mean, the idea of me being weightless for a little while, my joints could use it.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, my wife was wondering this. She wanted me to ask this question, Bubba. Where did you get the nickname Bubba?
Well, Rick gave that to me. I was never known as Bubba till I started hanging out on the air with Rick. And now that's all I answer to, which is kind of funny because I used to call everybody that sounded country Bubba. Mm-hmm. We all have that little group of nicknames we give people like, hey, pal, or hey, Bubba, or hey, Gooden, or, whatever. And Rick, when I first got on the air with Rick, he said, man, you sound like everybody's Uncle Bubba. And so it stuck. Everybody immediately, hey, Bubba, what you doing? And I love it. And I don't mind being called Bubba. It's a little confusing when you go to Walmart sometimes.
Yeah.
But
everybody looks.
Betty holler, hey, Bubba. And 6 people look. Yeah. I've always said, I don't care what you call me, as long as you call me,
That's right.
So I've had some other names, honestly, and Bubba's way up the chain from some of them. My uncles had a name they called me I can't repeat, not even here.
So Betty Lou, she even now calls you Bubba. She does that when that started.
She she moves. She's probably the only person that calls me Bill. And she sometimes it's Bubba, sometimes it's Bill, sometimes it's hey you. It just depends what the situation is. She was a little happy earlier, not happy earlier tonight with me about something, and she had another name I won't go into. She called me, and she's Betty's just she's a sweetheart. She's a good old country girl, and she's country strong. When we go on a vacation, I don't have to worry about throwing my back out. She'll throw her own suitcase up. She's that way, and fast. I mean, I can't catch her. She's quick as a cat. She's in good shape, and she is a fun person to be around. I really enjoy our time together. I know, and we have time apart too. We don't do everything together. I think it's probably healthy that you do spend a little time apart. It makes you appreciate the time together even more. We used to have a little hunting club. I had a little farm and sold it this past year. I had it for like 15 years. And, I don't know why I did that. That was a smart move. But I said, hey, I guess every weekend now during the winter, we're going to get to be together, sitting here cuddling on the couch and snuggling. Yeah. She said, you better find some more land pretty quick. She asks me every day. She says, hey, have you been out there with that realtor looking around? So
now I know at one time, and it's been a while back that, because I remember listening to the show, and I think maybe even you guys were taking phone calls at the time, and I thought that she was in the process of getting and starting her a podcast. Has that fell through?
Yeah, no, that's that's another thing that's probably on me to some degree. She wanted to do that, and we have some equipment to do that, but she says I'm not showing her how to run the equipment. And, it's Betty's she's a registered nurse by trade. She's very smart. But if you haven't done audio editing and you don't know the terms and you don't know, how to set the levels on stuff, it can get a little complicated. So she needs a producer, I think. Catoe, you understand what I'm talking about. Because I like to call myself mindless talent now, but we're still working on that, and we had a discussion about it not too long ago, and hopefully over the Christmas holidays we're going to get together her first podcast. So we're still working on it, so don't give up, and trust me. She is the funny one of the family. So if we can get her on the air, I don't know how much longer I'll do Rick and Bubba. I'll just sit back.
I'll tell you what, if you're looking for any equipment, and I'm kind of, I guess I'm throwing out a little sales pitch here. I know that what we use is the Rode Podcaster Pro. Look into that. It is so simple and so easy to use. And
is that what you guys got up there you're working on in front?
Yep, that's what I have right
here. Zoom in on that. Let me get a little better look at that. I need to make that. I'm not used to this browser. I can't. I don't know how to work my way around it here. Oh yeah, I've seen that. You got some hot keys over there too, don't you? Yep. 5 in program.
Yep. And
that's a nice unit. Y'all done really good with that.
I was giving him a hard time earlier. I told him I expected the chop music to be playing.
But I didn't do that.
Hey, Church, I love your set you've got there. It looks just like you're in the dining room or something. That is really neat the way you built that out.
Yeah, poor man's got poor ways, okay, Bubba? So, but
that's the podcast way, man. Look, I'm in the ham room, look here, all this stuff.
That's right. You can look into that Rode Podcaster Pro for you, and if she wants to do it from the house, I'm telling you, it's the easiest setup. I know you guys are at the end of the year, you're fixing to move studios.
Yes.
And I had a question here about that, and I wrote it down. I thought
golden ticket.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Thank you, Seth. Let me ask you this.
Seth, I'm just glad you got a word in edgewise. I thought Church had you potted down there, wouldn't let you talk.
Hey, all the time.
Are you still going to have the golden ticket seats?
Yes, that is our plan to do so. We're going to be moving into the same building that our parent company is on. Hey, there's a nice cat. What's that cat's name?
Yeah.
What is that? What's the cat's name?
Smokey.
Listen, everybody needs a Smokey. You know, Betty's had about 4 of them named Smokey.
They just come across this computer. I'm glad it didn't hit something. I'd have went all out of whack.
Yeah, they love to get up and walk across stuff. You know, somebody said that's one reason we know the earth is not flat, because a cat would have knocked something off the edge of it by now. You know, I mean,
Exactly right.
no way. So now what were we talking about? Oh, the golden ticket seats.
Yeah.
The build out for the new studio will have the golden ticket seats in it. Now it will not have the giant window that we've currently had.
Mhm.
And that's just because the building we're moving into is not, it's a brick 3-story building. It doesn't have, you can't knock out load bearing walls on these things. People frown on that, especially on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
But we will have a studio. It'll be similar in size, be a little more square than we are rectangle now. But we're excited about the build out. We've been where we are for 15 years. Love it there. Don't really want to move, but because of the corporate moving and their reshuffling, we're going to lose that spot. So we're building a new one. And honestly, the Broadcast Plaza and Teleport was a state of the art build out. It was about $1 million what they spent building that thing. But 15 years into it, equipment is starting to show its wear and tear. It's obviously outdated now. That's shocking, because when that thing was built, there wasn't anything called Bluetooth. There wasn't anything called USB ports you plug everything into, like we do now. So we'll be able to update a lot of our technical ability. It wasn't really set up good to handle Zoom calls coming in. Because nobody had guests on Zoom back then. But we're going to be hopefully more agile to be able to do that kind of stuff with this setup. And we've just signed a 3-year deal to stay with Summit, so we're excited about that. And Lord willing, we'll get to keep doing the show.
I got to ask this: is the new studio going to have a kitchen?
It's not going to have, that's a great question. We don't have quite as much space as we used to have. We're going to have a kind of a little ready room for a guest that'll have probably a refrigerator in it, but it won't be a kitchen per se like we have now. Of course, now we don't, we have a microwave and a refrigerator and a dishwasher. It's not really all that fancy anyway, but we'll have a version of a kitchen. It won't be quite as big. I guess, are you talking about so Greg can go in there and hold court?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Greg has a way of holding court. He'll find a corner to prop up, and he reverts back to his days at Alabama Power, and we get a lot of Creeper Jones stories, his old boss. So, he's always got a story from Alabama Power to fit any scenario we find ourselves in.
Yeah. Greg seems like he'd be that way.
Yeah, Greg is a character, and he's been with us. Gosh, he told us the other day, I can't even remember, 12 years maybe.
I think
something like that.
I heard him say something like that.
And people are, got to know Greg. Now I've known Greg a lot longer than that. I've known him about as long as I've known Rick, and we used to go out and DJ events and parties and anniversaries and class reunions and that kind of stuff in the early days of the show. Rick and Greg did it for a while, and then I joined in. And so I've been hearing Greg Burgess takes on life for a long time. And when we had the opening come up, we tried to get him to come on, and he didn't want to leave his cushy job at the power company where, according to him, real men worked. Used to, every time I'd see Greg, he'd grab my hand and he'd look at it. He said, "That's what I thought, not a callous one." And now he doesn't have any calluses, so I remind him of that. But no, Greg's been a great addition to the show. He's funny, and he's unfiltered, and he's got a lot of colorful quips on things, and so we have a lot of fun with that. people, I think sometimes they wonder if we have a rivalry going, brother versus partner or something. We really don't. It may sound that way sometimes on there, but we really don't. Greg and Lisa are great friends, and as a matter of fact, they were going to be the guardians of our children if something had happened to me and Betty before they became of age. So we think a lot of Greg and Lisa both, and he's a great addition to the show.
Oh, I enjoy listening to him, and I know in talking with Speedy, when we had Speedy on a while back, he was talking. We was asking him different questions, of course, about you guys, and I think if I remember correctly, one of the things he said about you got to get that cat. One of the things
I'd like to see Smokey a little more.
See if you can
show you pet Smokey, and he'll hang around.
But one of the things that Speedy said about Greg was he has a big heart.
Yeah, he does. Greg is a lot more sensitive, and caring than he portrays on the air sometimes.
And that's what Speedy said.
He likes to have that old power company pole climbing, Greg Burgess shell, but he's old softy when you get inside.
Where did the Will of Meat come from? Whose idea was that?
I think we stole that from somebody. Just to be honest, I think I'm trying to think where that was. I think we have a friend who is a great musician and extremely funny guy, and his name is Jim Marsh, and he used to live over in our home county, and I think he was doing something with a local TV station, maybe a low power or cable channel, and he mentioned to us one time something about the Wheel of Meat. And I think I said, Jim, say that again. I don't think I heard you right. And he said, yeah, we spin a wheel and give away meat. And I said, well, I like that. That's an unusual idea. And after that show went off the air and went away, and I think I called him and I said, hey, Jim, we may just pick up that Wheel of Meat deal. And he said, I don't care. Go ahead. Whatever. I think he moved to Colorado or something. And so we just said, well, we're going to do the Wheel of Meat. And I started researching, giant wheels, and I had no idea there was so many options out there, but this one's a nice one. I mean, it's heavy duty, and, I don't envy the people who's going to have to move it to the new studio, because we moved it into where it is now, and it about killed us.
I got a quick oddball question.
So I think we just ripped it off, basically, to answer your question. Yeah. Sorry about that. Wish it was a better answer.
Go ahead, Catoe.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, this is kind of maybe a weird question. Have you ever interacted any with John Boy and Billy?
I'm trying to think. I don't think I have ever met either one of those guys. I know who they are. I catch their show occasionally when I drive in, because they were on East Coast time, which is an hour ahead of Central, as y'all probably know. I've heard them bits and pieces, but no, because we're on the air at the same time. I don't get to hear them that much, and I've never met them that I'm aware of. We have met a lot of the other people who do what we do, and most of them are extremely nice and very complimentary of what everybody's trying to do, because we all know how difficult this job can be sometimes. There's the fun side, and then there's work side, so, but no, to answer your question, no, I don't think so.
All right. The only other question I've got for you, and I mean, obviously you can answer if you want to, if you don't want to, but I know you guys I've listened to a couple of your interviews with Trump, and some of the things I talk about, or the host of the show that I produce talks about, is, whether or not Trump's going to run again coming up. And our host seems to think it might be a better thing that if he doesn't run, it's more of a kingmaker than the other way. There's a little bit of me that wants him to run, because I feel like he got robbed, like everybody. I think most of us feel like he got robbed. And I noticed in y'all's interview that you did, you guys really didn't talk a lot about that. You kind of let him talk about it.
Right.
but you kind of left the 2020 behind. I mean, what's your gut on it? Do you think, is it going to be a good thing for him to run again, or maybe
Catoe, that's a great question. I really like Trump. I like what he did. I don't mind the way he does it because I think it's refreshing. We all, doing sports, you always talk about coach speak and how every coach says, well, the team we're playing, we're really good. We'll be lucky to win. And I'm like, well, you beat them 40 times in a row. I don't really think, and y'all are like ranked, and they're not. I'm really not worried about them. Trump talks and speaks just like a cab driver in New York City. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand that language. He doesn't speak in exacts. He says exactly what's on his mind. He doesn't always mean it like 100%. It's just kind of like how we're talking here, Right. And I don't think a lot of people understood that or were comfortable with that.
Right.
I have no problem with Trump. I think he did a great job. His policies were really good. I think he shook up the system a little bit, and the system needs shaking up from time to time.
Oh, yeah.
I think that some people, I think, Catoe, if you look at the electric as a whole, not electric, I can't talk, it's late at night, the people who are going to do the election, who are going to vote, you're going to have probably 48% of them that's going to vote Democrat no matter what. Don't matter what shape the country's in, don't matter who's running, they're going to go in there and pull the big D lever. Okay, 48% of those.
I had a guy tell me one time that if the devil was running, he would vote on the Democrat.
Yeah, I did too. I had a guy tell me that too. He said, depend on what the union said. So I'm like, I can't have a conversation with you. So there's about 45% that's going to vote Republican no matter what. I'm probably in that group. Okay, just because I'm not Republican because I'm Republican because they agree with me. Mm-hmm. I have my own thoughts on things. They just happen to line up with me. Right. So you've got about an 8% or so in there, 8% in the middle that will actually decide who wins this election. And they would be, by definition, a moderate or consider themselves moderate. And the question is, can Trump get them to vote for him? Now, he did the first time, because they were fed up with the Clintons and Hillary and all their shenanigans. And they're like, good gosh, y'all been here for 20 years, enough. So they voted for Trump. Well, a lot of them, the suburban moms, didn't care for the name calling because they're growing little Johnny, and they're telling him don't call people names and don't be ugly and be respectful. And in their minds, I'm just talking freely, this is my opinion, not Rick's, that they didn't like that. They went, too much show, too much headache, too much, one-liners that get used against him, and I'm just done with that. They're not really pollywogs. They're not policy people. They don't understand the things you do as president actually affects the price of gas. Mm-hmm. That it actually affects the price of turkey when we get ready for Thanksgiving. It actually affects debt. It actually affects liquidity in the market of credit. They don't understand that. They don't care about that. They just go orange man bad. They're sold on that. So I think a lot of them may have had a bit of a wake up call going, my gosh, we got boys dressed as girls in the girls bathroom. We've got the turkey is going to be $100+ this year. Gas is at a 7-year high. They're predicting oil to go to a 20-year high, which means gas will go up. Mm-hmm. Maybe Orange Man not that bad. I hope they have that, kind of waking up. But to answer your question, I don't know if he can persuade that group to win. I would love it if he did. I would love it if he went back. We've talked about this on the air. I think DeSantis is excuse me, has the Trump mentality.
Yeah,
maybe a little more polished as a politician. Now, that's one of the things we liked about Trump. He wasn't a polished politician.
Exactly. Yeah.
We called him the bulldozer. DeSantis may have the pros of Trump and be a little better in the presentation. You may be able to sell him to the suburban moms better. I don't know. I'm not to the point, or I don't even pretend to know the wisdom to say that Trump would want to do that. I don't think DeSantis could win without Trump's support. Mm-hmm. Trump would obviously want DeSantis's support, and I think he would have it. I think Trump is more valuable. Now, let me put it this way, as a kingmaker, because he can go out, he can have rallies, he can get up there and call people names and do his routine that he does. If you've ever been to a Trump rally, it's incredible. I mean, I had the luxury of emceeing one in Huntsville that he was at. And when street vendors are there before lunch selling cotton candy and balloons, I mean, I haven't seen that kind of excitement at an Alabama or Auburn game. It was unbelievable. So he is a draw. There's a lot of excitement with that. But I think if DeSantis ran and Trump supported him, it would be out of this world. Yeah. I don't know if Trump can win. I'm not going to be disappointed if he runs. I wouldn't be disappointed if he decided to be a kingmaker and support a DeSantis type candidate either. So we'll just have to see how all that comes out. Now, he said when he was on the air with us that he would have an announcement and we would like what he said. So I took that to mean he was going to run. Mm-hmm. But he's getting up in years too. Yeah. I don't think it's affecting him like it's affecting Biden, obviously. Yeah. But I mean, if I'm Trump and there's a lot of things I'd want to do than hang out in Washington and have to argue with a bunch of, pollywog people up there,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Two more things, Mr. Bubba, and we'll let you go because I know you got to get in bed. Number one, can you pronounce Deuteronomy?
Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy. Good job.
I've been practicing on that one.
Yeah, he's improved.
I don't know.
I can't say fantastic though. I swear I thought it was fantastic all these years. I didn't know it was fantastic. I mean, I've been singing Lakeside Fantastic Voyage. I thought it was V&B. I really did.
I don't know if you can see the comments. Somebody that's been watching and listening, and I'm glad they did. I'm glad they brought this up. I'd kind of forgot about it and listening to some old shows, some of your albums that you have with the greatest stuff on it, greatest hits, so to speak. But they mentioned this, and I'm going to ask you about it. They wanted you to talk, and I've heard you guys talk about this.
You can't elaborate in it too much,
but like I said, I've been a regular listener to you guys. I'm going to say probably for 2 or 3 years because I finally found you guys, got a hold of you guys, and so I've been faithful to listen. You'd heard about
it a long time ago.
I'd heard of you guys before. But I wasn't. That was before technology, of course, and so now I'm able to get you on iTunes, and so I'm able to listen more. And I've heard you guys talk about this, and somebody has commented on our page here, and they said to ask you to talk about the Guntersville Treaty.
Well, the Guntersville Treaty is something I can't talk a lot about, obviously, because it's in the treaty. But I can tell you this, everybody on the show is a practical joker, okay? We love joking, and, little did we know people could make a career out of playing practical jokes on each other. Maybe we should have tried that. But we got to joking each other so much that we couldn't even function. You walk into a room, you don't go in and sit down, you start looking to see if the chair's rigged or, if something's going to fall on you. We got just paralyzed because everybody was so paranoid about something happening to them. Mm-hmm. And it all kind of came to a head in Guntersville, Alabama one night. And I really won't go into all that. But it had to do with a jealous husband, a gun, and a dead bald eagle. But that's all I can say about it, okay? I've been told by lawyers we cannot discuss that. But we all just kind of came back Monday and said, look, we got to have some arrangement on this. This is ridiculous. So we agreed that everybody in the Guntersville Treaty could not prank each other, that we could prank outside people and we could work together to prank outside people, but we could not prank people on the show who were in the treaty. So that way it brought back, it really helped the productivity of what we were trying to do, because we could actually sit down and do something again and not worry about, ants being in your chair or, your drink having something in it. It's, no one would drink apple juice around the station at all. You just couldn't do that. And so, it was just ridiculous. And we still, have a few moments of things that go on that are not on the air. And I'll tell you, one of them was pretty funny. We were snowed in during one of the it may have been you remember we had the big ice storm a couple of years ago that paralyzed everybody, and we knew it was coming, we didn't know it was coming, but we got snowed in at the station, and most of the radio stations had gone to full snow coverage, which means people call in and tell you, hey, we got snow. We got, so many inches over here, and the school's closed. And, and does anybody know where I can get a heater? Just stuff like that. And we got to calling and pranking shows. And I got to laughing. Now, I'm not good at this because I get to laughing and I give it away. And at one point I came in there and I said, guys, we're 50 years old. What are we doing? I mean, we're calling radio shows, making fun of them. And, I'm 50. What am I doing? So we still get into a lot of jokes, but we had to just tone it down on each other because it was completely out of hand. And I mean, out of hand. Okay.
Well, listen, Bubba, I said 2 questions, but I got one more real quick.
No, I'm fine. I'm in no rush. Now, if you guys need to wrap me up because, Helms is coming on next segment, that's fine. But I'm good. I'm all right.
Well, I appreciate that. What's the odds, do you think, of having Gary the Bulldozer Man as a podcast guest?
Oh, I think pretty high. I think pretty high. I think Gary enjoys his new limelight. He seems to be enjoying that quite a bit. He sells his turkey calls, and he sold them all the way up to Quebec. And Gary, I knew Gary before Rick did. Okay. And good. Now, Rick cannot really capture the essence of Gary. You're talking about a practical joker. He was always, he worked for me on the little farm I had at the time. And he's crazy. He is crazy. I would see a bucket turned upside down, and I would just go ahead and shoot the bucket because I knew there was a rattlesnake under it. It's that kind of stuff. And I told Gary, I said, Gary, I'm going to shoot you one night. I'm just going to shoot you, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. Because we would be out hunting, and he would like to jump out at you and scare you. On the trail when you walk out. I said, Gary, I'm gonna lay you down in a pile of blood, and I ain't gonna feel bad about it because you scared me out here while I got a loaded gun. You're nuts. What's wrong with you?
Oh, man.
And so he was always doing something, and I kind of passed him along to Rick. And but no, Gary's a lot of fun, and he knows all the local watering holes and places there and around Clanton, Alabama. And he's a very resourceful guy. Now, Gary, the one thing, and I think you pick up when Rick does imitation of him, Gary thinks that no one else knows what they're doing but him. He's the final word. He's the expert on everything. Have you ever built a house? Have you ever noticed how the contractor that comes in will always say the guy before him had no idea what he was doing and he screwed everything up, and I'll try to fix it, but I don't know what I can do. It's like the foundation guy gets there and he's like, who graded this lot? That idiot. He's got the grade wrong, and the guy, this grade goes, well, what idiot bought this lot? Well, that's me. I did. But then the foundation guys come in, and then the guys pouring the base. Well, who did this foundation? He didn't know what he was doing. And the framers, then the roofers come, who framed this thing? It ain't square. It ain't level. So Gary doesn't think anybody else knows what they're doing. Now, Dan Moultrie, some of these people that, were foundational people in the industry, and Gary doesn't think they know what they're doing. I don't know, Gary. I don't know. Maybe we need to take a look at this. They could be right. I don't know. They've done pretty well. So I don't know. But Gary's a hoot. You would love Gary, and I'm sure he would love to do it for you. Now did you happen to see him on stage during the was it the 20-year tour, 25 years, whatever that tour was?
No, I didn't get to see.
Oh my gosh, It was hilarious. If you get a chance to see that video, watch that. And he's a hoot. Now, if you want him to have sleeves on, that's out. I don't think he has a shirt with sleeves in it. Gary's country strong. We were moving a shooting house one day, and I was trying to pick it up. And at one point, I go up in the air, hanging on to it. And I'm like, Gary, put me down. I'm supposed to be helping you lift. You're lifting me off the ground. So he's country strong, never been in a gym, but you know the guys. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know one of the, and Seth has a question here in a minute for you, but I know one of the funniest stories that I've ever heard y'all tell. And of course, this is coming from one of the albums because it was before I'd got a hold of you guys. But is that story where Rick and a couple of his buddies are out there on the hunting property, and Gary comes out
with a shotgun
and scares them two old boys slam to death. And that right there is
Scott Dawson. That's who it was. That's who it was.
Yeah. You mean Evangelist Scott Dawson, who ran for governor?
Yeah.
Who made a false 911 call because he thought his friends had been murdered in the woods? That guy? Yeah.
Oh, gosh, that was fun.
Rick is partly responsible for that one. And that goes back to the reason we have the Guntersville Treaty. These two guys were not in it. And Rick had set them up and told them he was having a property dispute with this old guy who, he didn't even think he had electricity. He was, from the dark ages. And Gary was in on it, and Rick carries these guys out through the woods, and Gary jumps out with this wig on and these teeth, it's all gnarled up, and starts shooting a shotgun in the air. Well, they think they're being fired on, and they both go down through the woods on four-wheelers where there wasn't a trail. And, so it got way out of hand. But that shows you why we had the Guntersville Treaty, that you had to back this down. I'll tell you another Gary story. It's kind of funny. I had a biologist that was coming out to look at a piece of property that I'd got, and we were going to try to set it up for hunting and look at some things we could do. And, I like getting input from different people. It's always good to get a little fresh look on stuff. And this guy was from the state of Alabama, and he was coming out, and it's a service they provide. And I had a mud hole, pretty big mud hole by the gate where you go on the property. Mm-hmm. Well, I got there, and I looked in the mud hole, and there were Bigfoot tracks going right around the mud hole into the woods. I mean, real Bigfoot tracks. Okay. Gary has a pair of shoes that he has made a Bigfoot on. He has gone as far to put hair around it. He has toenails in it. And I mean, he made a track and then did a reverse and then made a mole out of that and mounted it on the bottom of these boots. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's gone all out. Okay.
Yeah.
So he makes tracks that look like Bigfoot. And he's got the technical name is called a dumb bull, but it's a giant can, like a coffee can. Mm. And he's got a string on it. Well, he'll put that under his arm, and he'll get a little rosin off a pine tree, and you pull the string, and it goes. It sounds horrible. Sounds like a monster, okay? Yeah. Well, Gary loves to get out in the woods and do this to people while they're out there at night. And if you know he's doing it, it's pretty funny, but it's still scary because you're like, wow, what if it ain't him? Yeah. And so I've witnessed so Gary does this, and I've got this state biologist coming in, and we come in and we're talking about it, and I'm trying to walk him by the water hole real quick. And he notices the footprints, and he is taken by the footprints. Okay. He is studied. He's down on all fours looking at it. And I said, sir, that's my bulldozer guy. They're completely fake. He knew you were coming. He's been out here running through the woods with these things to try to give me a handle. That's all this is. And he said, okay, but he kept looking back. We'd be talking, and he kept looking back at it. He said, do you mind if I take a few pictures of that? I said, yeah, I mean, we couldn't even get on with what we needed to do because he was obsessed with the Bigfoot tracks. And we were out there fishing one day, me and the Lenore family, who Speedy is an adopted son of. And Gary came by and he said, I've got to go up here on this hill and check on my bulldozer. And I said, Gary, you got that dumb bull with you? He said, yeah, I got it. I said, when you get up on that mountain, I said, the Lenores hadn't heard that thing before. Give that thing a few pulls. Let's see if we can hear it down here, because he was, pretty good ways off. And I didn't know it at the time, but there was another family that was camping on their property. They were like one ridge over. And in between then, I saw them, I heard them, and I saw them over there with their tent and everything. Gary got up on that hill. And we're looking at each other going, man, the skin on the back of my neck is piled up. And it's daylight. Okay, it's daylight. I've got people here. We've all got guns. But that is the scariest sound I've ever heard, and we're like, ooh, gosh, could you imagine hearing that at night? Well, we hear these people about 2 hills over going, did you hear that? Did you hear that? John, come here. And they got quiet, about then Gary pulled it again. They start throwing that tent in the back of that truck. I mean, they wasn't putting it up. They were just chunking it. And they jumped in the back of that truck and peeled out. I mean, they were throwing rocks everywhere. And we got to laughing so hard I could not breathe. And Gary came back and said, Gary, you scared them people over there to death. You're going to have to go apologize to them, because they went out of here. They probably got their land up for sale because they think there's a monster out here. That's the kind of thing you deal with Gary all the time.
That's
what him and me would have. I love joking.
That sounds like something.
It's like say he poor old Scott Dawson about killed himself going through the woods. I mean, he claims he was cut up. To this day, he still got scabs. So you got to know Gary. If you're going in a Gary area to relax, that is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Seth. What do you want to ask?
Has the show heard from Dip and Dan any time here recently?
We have old Dip and Dan on from time to time, and he is a character, based off a relative that we all have. Mm-hmm. And he's that relative that will sit there during the big Thanksgiving dinner when you have all your uncles and nieces and nephews over at the old home place.
Yeah.
And he will dip at the table while you're eating. And, that's his idea of a dessert,
Yeah.
And it started out a long time ago. And, he's always talking like that because he's got such a, big chaw in his mouth, and he's always needing a cup to spit in. So Bubba, you done with that cup? Let me have that cup. And he's spitting it, and you're like, man, I'm trying to eat cake here. Come on. So we've had a lot of fun with that character over the years.
Yeah, actually, a funny story about like dip and stuff. I work at Chick-fil-A, and I was working in the drive-thru one day, and this guy came through, and he had the biggest chaw in his mouth. And it sounded just like Dip and Dan. I mean, he talked like that, right there.
Oh yeah.
That thing.
every time you see that person sounds exactly alike. They have the same tone, about the drowned, just about the, So I mean, that's the way I sound when I'm eating a bit of honey, probably.
Who would win a fight between Dip and Dan and Dickie Nadmeyer? If you're able to put them in the ring,
they're very similar, very, very similar. They have their own version of the world. Dip and Dan happens to be an Auburn fan. And it's, I don't know. That would be, Dan still works at the loading dock, and I think Dickie's retired, so he might have a slight hand in that.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be a toss up. It would be one of these best 2 out of 3s, I'm sure.
Yeah, I love to hear Dip and Dan and Dickie Nadmeyer go back and forth.
Yeah, it's we have a lot of Auburn, Alabama humor growing up around that. Of course, across the country, people know that rivalry, but it's not as big a thing to them. So we don't spend a lot of time on it, but we touch on it obviously. And we have a lot of fun with those characters. We try to exaggerate them to make them funny, but then you meet somebody and they're just like them. So you're like, wow, we can't exaggerate this enough. It gets crazy.
Man. Yeah.
When college football gets into the equation, look out. It's just crazy.
I know I know you guys know James Gregory.
Yes.
I know you've had him on the show.
Funny.
Oh yeah.
Guy.
I love him. Yeah.
And I know you've probably seen that bit that he does about the relative, and it's the ant, the big fat ant.
Oh yeah.
And I can remember the first time I saw that bit, and it's like you said, they was when he started, it was like, I know somebody just like it.
Yeah, the first time I heard that bit, I busted.
Yeah, I called her aunt, but she was probably a great aunt. I'd have to think. My dad had 10 brothers and sisters, so I've got cousins I still ain't even met. So when we had a family get together, there was just a herd of people. And I had one great aunt, and she would always pull me just exactly like her, and she was always talking about her feet hurting, and I said, well, it's probably because you're 400 pounds. I'm not a doctor, but I'm gonna take a stab at it. She always wanted to look at I broke my arm when I was in 3rd grade, and she wanted to look at my eyes, and she could tell that I had weak bones by looking at the white of my eyes or something. And you're a kid, you're like 8, Mama, what's she talking about? She tried to kiss me. She's got a mustache. I'm scared to death of her. So. But the same thing, James Gregory, it's almost like he lives in my family too. And I know how you feel, because he dead on. James was one of the first people. I think he was the first comedian I saw at a comedy club, probably in my early 20s. And I thought when I left that, I thought, well, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I've cried my eyes out for 2 hours. And so then to get to meet him and have him on the show and get to know him and spend a little time with him away from that has been just it's one of my precious memories. But he's funny. Not only when he's doing his act, he's just funny to talk to. I mean, it never stops with him.
Yeah. That's a good thing about radio. The people you get to meet. Like you saying there, meeting him, and because Catoe and myself years ago, he worked at a radio station here where I live now. Catoe used to live here as well, and he worked at a radio station there. And him and myself had a radio program on Wednesday nights every week. And just the guests that we got to line up. I mean, we got to talk to some people that we never. If it hadn't been for radio, we'd have never got to talk to these people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the same way.
When you're able to call them and say, hey, we got a 100,000 watt station here that reaches parts of 7 states. And, we'd like to know if you'd be on the radio program with us. And of course that helps. Selling that helps,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, I mean, we talked with Charlie Daniels. When that was just one of our greatest moments there. And stuff. So yeah, radio with you guys, I know just getting to meet those people, and it's the same way with Catoe and myself. Like I said years ago, and then the Lord's blessed us with technology, and then we started this podcast up about, I guess it was February, wasn't it, Catoe? I believe when we first started, and we're trying. We just love doing it, and
yeah. When you mentioned about Gadsden, I immediately thought about the group Gold City.
Yeah,
The quartet from Gadsden, Alabama. And that's what we played. We at the time we said, hey, we'll catch the people coming over from church on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10. And that was in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s when we did that program there. And it worked really well. And of course we were playing music and doing some talking, interviewing. And a lot of the artists in Southern Gospel, they were obviously not doing anything on Wednesday night, so they would call in and be with us. And then the wrestlers, we had Tully Blanchard in the studio with us one time.
We had
And you know, I'm sure y'all have had the same experience I have. Most of them are just extremely nice.
Oh yeah.
And you know, you're blown away with, wow, they were real nice to us. They didn't have to be. They're nicer than I thought they'd be.
Well,
but don't you love Southern gospel the way every song ends? Hey, one more time. Hey, you know?
Listen, it ain't Southern gospel if you don't turn it around. You know what I mean? And but just speaking like what you say, we had if you remember Nikita Koloff, do you remember him?
Oh, the wrestler,
yeah. You know, and we had him on. You know, he'd become a Christian, and we had him on our program one time. Well, there was a wrestling event not too far from where the radio station was at a college called Winthrop University, which is right outside of Charlotte in South Carolina. And so Catoe we'd talk to whoever was running this outfit, and we were going to go and watch it because they were going to have a wrestling show, and then they was going to do some Christian stuff along with that. And Catoe and myself, we got there and we pulled around the back, you know, where the wrestlers and stuff who they had were coming in. And we come in, and the guy, I believe, if I remember correctly, that Catoe had been talking to and got us the tickets or told us we could get in. We pulled back, and he met it. We didn't get parked. We just got pulled in, didn't even get parked. He comes to the Catoe side of the vehicle on the driver's side and says, look, Nikita said this is going to be on a little local TV station here around the area where Winthrop was. And Nikita said, you guys could call the matches. Do y'all know anything about wrestling? And I'm like, look, man, I grew up with wrestling.
Yeah.
What do you need us? And then, by the way, who am I, this little old self, going to tell Nikita no?
Yeah.
And so
if he wants us, we got to do it.
Exactly. And so Bubba, me and Catoe, we got the van parked. They took us in there beside the ringside table that was sitting there with the microphones and everything, told us, you know, here's this. We had maybe 45 minutes or an hour to kind of work on what we was going to try to do. And so I told Catoe, I said, look, Catoe, you be the main, you're the announcer. I'm going to be the heel. I'm going to be the bad guy who announces along with you and giving commentary. But man, it was so fun. I mean, that's one of talking about radio and you getting to meet people and us talking about meet people. That was one of the funnest times ever.
Yeah. Oh, stuff like that's fun.
I mean,
Rick and I,
he come up afterwards. He said, you guys, you could probably do this. Gave us a good compliment about it, you know?
Yeah.
You know, we, Rick and I, some of the most fun we've had, we used to do a celebrity basketball game in Anniston a couple of times between the doctors and the lawyers, or I don't know, it's police, firemen, somebody. But we used to have a ball doing that kind of stuff. I mean, that's just fun. And you guys are having fun doing it, and that's how you got to do it. I mean, you might as well have a little fun, and I think y'all are doing a great job, and you obviously are moving forward and moving and shaking, and the technology is giving you the window to do that, and that's great.
That's right.
Yeah.
And on our bucket list is, and now that we know that you guys are moving to a new studio, on my bucket list is to come and sit. And I told Speedy this, and he said he'd make it happen for us. That is to sit in the golden ticket seats and have a tour of the studio. That's
absolutely. What you need to do is come and see the old studio before we start tearing it down. So Speedy's already moved half his office out. So I said, you may be a little quick on that. But come down anytime. We'll get you set up and show you all that. Even if we're not having golden ticket seats, we can give you the tour. That's I hate that we haven't been able to do some of that. But when the COVID thing kicked up again, and our fear was not to, we don't live in fear, but we didn't want the whole show to get sick at one time.
Exactly.
And then us not have a show. So we were trying to take precautions. We did, back when we didn't really know what we were up against. We had some of us in the studio, some of us out, and we rotated around some. And we started bringing everybody back in. The Delta thing kicked up, so we stopped that in the intern program. And I don't know if we're going to fire it up again before the end of the year because you never know.
Exactly.
With this. But I mean, it's anytime. if y'all are going to be in the neighborhood, let us know and we'll get you a tour.
We'll do that. We'll do that. And Bubba, we've had a ball. I'm so glad that we got you hooked up where you was able to be on here with us, man. We appreciate it. And, we know that you probably got tons of other things that you need to be doing. You probably got a honey-do list a mile long, but
nah, not really. Yeah, I'm missing some reruns of Castle. That's about it.
we know this isn't going to increase your popularity anymore. It's being on with us. But
no, listen, I'm honored. I'm honored that you ask. I enjoy this. I mean, it's like us doing the show. Look, I'm about to jerk my headphones off there. I enjoy people, enjoy getting to meet people, and I love people that are out there moving and shaking and doing their thing like you guys are doing. And please have me on again. I enjoyed it. And when y'all guys replace Joe Rogan one day, have me on again. I'd love it.
Well, hey, we're good. Hey, we're shooting for the stars.
That's right. I think y'all got a great chemistry going. And if y'all let Seth talk a little bit more, y'all might really have something.
Yeah. Thank you, Bubba. Thank you.
We do. We really appreciate it. And thank you again. And we're going to work on getting Rick on. And
okay. Well, so technically, I struggled a little bit. You have no idea what that's going to be like. It'll be more like this. Hey guys, I can't see you.
Well, see, I've reached out. What's funny is I've reached out to him before, and he told me that he would do it. And then I emailed back, but see, because when we were trying to get Speedy, I had some trouble somehow or something with my emails because Speedy didn't get them. So I'm figuring that that's what happened with Rick. And then I heard Rick on the show one day, not too long ago, said he was having email trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm gonna keep trying. He'll
do it at some point. He's busy. He does a lot of speaking during the week. Some of us just can't go out. I mean, if I go out, I'll be a potato tomorrow. But he'll do it. He does a lot of them. We all try to do a lot of podcasts because we just enjoy doing it. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of an extension of what we do, and I love meeting people like you guys that are out there moving and shaking. I mean, that's what makes America great, and we all share a common thing of what we're wanting to do and how we want to do it. And you got a great audience. I just got on the comments here a minute ago. I mean, good night. You got a lot of people on there. So I appreciate everybody tuning in.
Well, we appreciate you being on here with us. And again, we are so very thankful. And we'll
playing the music. I love it. This is like professionals.
But we'll have you back. We'd love to do that.
Thank you.
Everybody, we appreciate you listening. Thank you for tuning in. If you're listening on the podcast platforms, we just thank you so much. And we again appreciate Bill Bubba Bussey for being here with us. Hey, email us catoeandchurch@gmail.com. Go to our Facebook page. We got a YouTube page as well. Check those out. Like, subscribe, ring bells, do whatever to show us that you're there. But again, we appreciate everybody that listens. And until next time, remember, next week we have scheduled Hungry Hussey, who is what I call a YouTube sensation. So we plan to have him next week, and we look forward to that. Again, Bubba, thank you so much. Everybody, listen. Like we usually wrap up, listen, Jesus said to repent and believe the gospel.